um, that's um, that's what I realized that very later than um, like a lot later than what I when I started at try to be an artist, and I think everybody's issue to find out what kind of like professional like fits to the person who try to find like a way to live, right? And it wasn't like until a very long time ago, and to find probably between the people there are many ways to find what really fits to me. And what I realized there was from my experience that like after I quit my job in Korea, I had a few years between time that I arrived here after I quit my job as an like accountant, and it was a really stressful time. Like I had my daughter, and it's not really working as a what other people do. It gave me a lot of stress. But one time I calmed down and tried to like make it more like a clear thoughts, like where I'm going and what I want to do. And all of a sudden I realized that I really enjoy working with the trees. Like cut tree is bad idea many times, but cut tree and make it something with my hand. I realized that I did play that a lot when I was like after seven, between like 11, 12 years old. So I just played again as an adult person, like a little child. I found like a really perfect, the Y-shaped branch, and then I just dried out completely and just carved with a little knife over time for many days. Just carved and sanded it down, and eventually when I was doing it, it's just such a pleasure, something like a very enjoyable time. And back to this life as a professional artist, I believe many people, like just regular people or artists, once I start something to be somebody like a mechanic or artist or writer, that moment probably like we can think like, oh, I became a mechanic or I became an artist, something. But I just kept, since I started my artist job, I never felt that way. It's just a constant adventure, difficulties, and giving it up or not, and all this like crazy thing happening. And during that time, the focus, where I wanted to go, and what I really, really want, I just keep asking the question 1,000 times. like in this over 25 years time in New York City. And the key to answer to the question, of course, sometimes go this way or sometimes go that way a little bit, but like the key is like how much I really can enjoy while I'm doing something. Okay, the first thing, the most important thing is like where I am. I mean, in terms of my emotions and like concern and like what I see in the society, what that time, like what's happening around. It really affects to design my piece. And the second of all, the structure of the actual space and where is that located and how it's shaped in the building or outside of the building. And then that really important part. Some space is very plain and it's usually like new buildings, inside of new building or very formal commercial buildings, and that one I really most of the time I need to think a lot to work with that formal space. And some other space like very non-traditional, like a factory like, or that some reason that's a lot easier than like a formal shaped building. So that structure of the building space is very important. And the third, like what their region is look like and what they dealing with, most important, mostly concerned, or like what culture exists there, and all those can be ingredient for my design. And what else? So those physicality of the actual space and the environment will translate it inside of me as a like very psychological way. It's just a constant thinking, and even during the like constructing the piece, sometimes it changes a little bit, but mostly like a major structure will remain as what I thought in the beginning. The sky ceiling was a very good, and then rest of the spaces was a very difficult to bring some idea, and it was like a dating with some woman doesn't have any like particular character. I brought a lot of like, try to bring like some energy for this design from the surrounding environment in the city town. But in that title, is my hope something about like really we find in people in general, not just a few people, many percentage of people find something we really care or we really want, and rather than like a lot of this wealth thing, is more like um, giving like rich in psychological rich and having a little more peace and finding that kind of aspect. But as I said, I really, this pandemic period, I thought about that so much. And that's why I read about this more than 2,000 years old text written in China, like how we find the like very perfectness and where how and all those idea that appeared more than 2,000 years ago makes so much sense, and it's just a very wishful thinking is in the title. In the beginning, where I was developing this piece, I thought about all those like a canon of making art and certain like a form that has to be more like a completed, and the people meantime like people keep giving me some reaction, and a lot of people's idea that I see that kind of like some of them, like a lot of them, like traditional perspective about art, like, and it came from like all this like their experience that from all other great art pieces, and these days although maybe it looked similar from the one from now to the past, the one that I did in the past, but it's constant my effort to try to be free from thinking about that part, and meanwhile it's just a from drawing to the actual the practice is of course a lot of changes, and it's a constant like way more like evolving. There's like some parts big and some parts very small, but it's a lot about like constantly evolving and try to be free from previously conceived, and then later I realized that it is very, very much similar, like the way that I like constantly go through in my life, like it has that kind of similar the quality. My life is really not settled, like in many different ways, and I feel a lot of danger many times. Like maybe tomorrow, like because I get stressed too much, I just I can be dead on the street or something. That's the like everyday kind
worry?
of, not every day, but it's basically like not settled, like regular people having like a house and a family, but I abandoned that type of life like many years ago. So that gives like a very uncertain like quality of like living, and it really reflects in my piece. people asking me that question a lot, and if if I wanna be asked to choose just one artist, that's a very difficult question. Um, Actually, when like I enjoyed like classical music when I was in 20s, and then just mostly like American like sweet pops, and then like where I was in school, art school in Manhattan, I drove down to Memphis and to get the fried chicken, famous fried chicken there. And so I drove like 2 days or something. And then I went the Rock and Roll Museum. And then for the first time, I seriously contacted all those lyrics of blues music and the southern, like those
Blues?
yeah, blues music, and the lyric drove me like really really crazy, and I thought it's unbelievably well described, and telling me the the situation so clearly. And then next day I drove down a little further to Mississippi, and I saw the like sea of the cotton field, and it just really, I rather than just looking at it, I immediately thought about those musicians. What could they possibly think and enjoy while they're working in that like endless sea of the field? And from that time, I started to collect like hundreds of lyrics from like some music that I like, and that became a lot of my psychological the motivation for making art. Past past experience, like a not large portion of people like could read something that is in my mind, but like some percentage of people know that and talked about it, and also it could be a lot of different theory, but most fundamental feeling like people getting from the art is some kind of like impact and relief. They're sharing their some kind of things in art. So actually, I really try to promote like very good yellow colors, and because it's just a lot of hopeful, like try to push a lot of hopeful energy. One is in my kind of inside of me always. There is some art piece that, like a very simple one figure thing, gives like just a perfect connotation and impact concept. That's more like the contemporary conceptual art aspect, and I have been struggling so much, like try to get that part, and but still, I haven't been able to grab that part. So I don't know, like, so that makes always I'm like very um, weak and imperfect um, in terms of creating art. Uh, I think it's like the my goal or something that I just compromise that idea between that idea and my current practice.